When you get into something you're not meant for, you don't just fail at it. You usually drag the whole thing down with you. And honestly, Joe Rogan is the cleanest example of that I can think of. Nobody serious denies this part. Joe Rogan is one of the best podcasters ever, maybe the best. He's been doing it for over a decade and built something no media company has been able to replicate. If Rogan looked me dead in the eye and said he's the greatest podcaster who ever lived, I wouldn't argue. He earned that. But comedy, that's where everything goes sideways.
And I see this noble bee, and I'm like, noble bee, you stung even though you knew you were going to die. Why did you do it?
Somewhere along the way, Rogan didn't just do comedy, he started seeing himself as one of the elite comedians in the world. Not decent, not solid, but top tier. One of the few people who supposedly really understands comedy. He doesn't just think he's a high-level comedian. He genuinely believes comedy is the hardest art form there is. Like, harder than music, harder than writing, harder than acting. In his mind, real comedians are extremely rare, and he clearly sees himself in that category. He said multiple times that there are only a few hundred real comedians in the entire world, and this isn't something he threw out once as a figure of speech. He repeats it constantly across different podcasts and different conversations.
I love comedians, and that's our tribe. Our tribe is comedians, and there's not that many of us. The real number, it's probably 1,000 worldwide. Yes, that's the best vibe, man. We're all in this together. There's not that many of us.
Yeah, there's not that many of us.
There's like 1,000 of us on Earth. Like really legitimate comics. There's 1,000 of us on Earth. There's maybe 1,000 comedians on Earth worth of fuck.
I think even 1,000.
No, I don't.
500.
But maybe. Let's just get crazy and say maybe there's a bunch of people that I don't know about.
Yeah.
How many authors are there?
Oh, I know.
There's a lot more.
Musicians?
How many musicians? How many doctors? How many
Actors?
lawyers? Yeah, there's a lot more. The real number of like a real legitimate professional comedian that can go up and do an hour and kill and has like maybe a following and can tour clubs and theaters and then colleges and then you get to like big theaters and arenas.
Right.
You get to arena. How many of those are there?
Not many. Arenas, not many.
Actually, 1,000 or even 500 is way too generous for him. He's actually lowered that number to around 200, straight up saying that only about 200 people in the entire world qualify as real comedians.
I think there's 500 working professional headlining comedians in this country.
Yeah.
I think there's maybe 500. Maybe there's 1,000, and I think 500 of them are probably funny.
That can sell. How many can sell 1,000 seats?
A Friday night, yeah. Oh, 1,000 seats?
1,000 seats? It goes
like
down
a small
to what?
theater?
Yeah, it goes down to what? Because
200 maybe?
Maybe 200.
Maybe.
And that belief is what quietly wrecked his image and, more importantly, warped the comedy scene around him. What makes it worse isn't just Rogan's confidence. Comedians are supposed to be confident. It's the ecosystem he built around that belief. Over time, this group started acting less like comedians and more like self-appointed referees of what comedy should be. So most of these guys still present themselves as the saviors of comedy. Saving it from what exactly? Well, obviously from the evil left that supposedly wants to take away free speech. And to be fair, that card worked really well at one point. There was a time when people were getting canceled for jokes, even mild ones, especially around topics like trans people or dark humor in general. Anyone who pushed back then deserves respect. But the problem is these guys are still trying to run the same playbook years later. They're still doing trans jokes like it's 2018, acting like it's edgy and forbidden, when in reality everyone has already heard every possible version of those jokes. The shock is gone, the tension is gone, the risk is gone. And when you keep repeating jokes after the moment has passed, you're not brave. You're just a hack. Look at Dave Chappelle.
Say LeBron James changed his gender. You know what I mean? Okay, can he stay in the NBA, or because he's a woman, does he have to go to the WNBA where he will score 840 points a game? What does it actually mean to be equal? You know what I mean? Like, if women are actually equal to men, then there would be no WNBA, would there? You would just be good enough to play in the NBA with us. Or, here's another idea that's going to be very controversial. You could shut the
He He made a lot of trans jokes, and back then it was risky. It sparked real conversations and real backlash, which gave those jokes a weight. But if Dave walked out today and did the same kind of trans jokes again, they wouldn't hit the same. Not because people are sensitive, but because the topic isn't even relevant anymore. But the Rogan sphere is still holding on to these old racist and trans jokes like they're timeless classics. And the reason is pretty simple. Most of these guys just aren't naturally funny. Coming up with something original is hard, and when you don't really have that instinct, you fall back on whatever worked before. So instead of evolving, they repeat the same formulas.
What's up, Nate? Nate clearly won. Question, Charlie. So you are bi. Yes. You have a sister that's trans. Are there other children in the family?
No,
it's just the two of you. Are your parents accepting of you?
Yes.
See, that's the problem that I have. This is why this will never end. It's because parents go, oh, I love you just the way you are. I don't care if there's poop on your dick.
Your parents...
I don't care if there's shit all over my son's baby not making cock. I don't care if God will haunt us forever. I don't care if hell is a predestined destination for us eternally.
I've never heard a man try to pretend harder to be straight in my life.
Oh my God!
Listen, my mom is not accepting
this fucking accent. Can you believe these gays? I just about had it with these homos.
Look.
This is basically what Joe Rogan and his circle of elite, legendary comedians do now. They recycle the same hack jokes over and over and then turn around and lecture everyone about what's wrong with society, because apparently they're experts on that too.
Maybe it makes some sense. I kept thinking about that. I was like, the whole transgender movement, that happened in this zeitgeist, not mine. And I always think about why. It's very interesting, you know? And I just think about, because when I was growing up, there was one transgender person, and they did a 60-minute special about them. And I know. And now, like, 30% of you are trans. I don't know. But, like, well, I don't know what it's very interesting to me, because it kind of, it happened 2015 when Bruce Jenner had an 8-hour operation, and he woke up Caitlyn Jenner, and then a minute later he won Woman of the Year. And that, I remember that. That was crazy. And I remember I'm just a bunch of like conservatives and traditional Americans. I was like, I have some questions, you know? And we quickly found out the time for questions was over, bigot. This has all been settled science. We don't need your voice. We saw what you did to the other minorities, Whitey, you know? And I was like, what? And, you know, because her support system was very, very strong. I mean, and vast. I mean, I'm talking about, well, I don't know, let's see. All of the fashion industry, all of Hollywood, all of corporate America, all of legacy media, all of big tech. And that's a formidable group of people. They can make or break you.
And by the way, this is the special he was hyping up for months, and it was supposed to be his best work. And now even other comedians are starting to call these guys out because they genuinely believe they're the best comedy circle in the country.
On Twitter, somebody was like, oh, you should do Skankfest and Austin. The best comics are there. So then I replied, quote tweeted him, the best comics are in New York, bozo. Tony, listen, Tony goes, he quotes that and then goes, name them.
Why would he say name them?
Then he goes, Attell, ... then this face.
Is that his face?
That emoji.
Yeah.
And then the American flag.
Yeah.
Then he said, I love you. We bust each other's balls about this. But then I wrote, Attell, Soder, Mark Norman, Joe List, Robert Kelly, Big J, Schultz, Louis C.K., Chris D, Are You Garbage Guys, Ari Shafir, Colin Quinn, Norton, Sam Morrill, Todd Barry, Jim Gaffigan, Giannis Stavros, Nick Mullen, Tim Dillon, Adrian Appalucci, Jordan Jensen, Nikki Glazer, Michael Che, Pete Davidson, to name a few.
It's so clear that you get to a point where you're like, I need to name women and black people.
Yeah. If you ask Joe Rogan, he'll proudly tell you how he turned Austin into the comedy capital of the world. That's the story he likes to repeat. But the reality looks very different. Even some of their own comedian friends are starting to speak up, saying they didn't elevate Austin at all. They flooded it and honestly made the scene worse than it was before.
Have you been back to Austin since?
I have, yeah. It's not. It sucks now. I saw Tony Hinchcliffe the other day, and I was trying to say that to him in a nice way.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm like, yeah, you know, it was a cheap, fun town. He's like, yes, totally. It's an awesome place. I'm like, no, I'm saying it was. It was cool. I mean, it was a cheap place to live, and he's like, greatest place on earth. Love it. I'm like, yeah, but It's different now.
In a better way. It improved. It got stronger.
Yeah, I'm like,
all right.
Nick Mullen's a weird guy.
When I would be like, I was like, yeah, people from LA came and ruined it. And he's like, yeah. Where did you move from? That is the funny thing though about like the LA comics that moved to Austin, and they're like they want to get away from LA, but it's like then you've now turned this into
You turned that into
you turned it into LA
with no ocean.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and demanding bums.
Yeah, I honestly just hope these guys eventually realize comedy isn't their lane and go back to what they're actually good at. There's nothing wrong with that. Not everyone is meant to do everything. And if you want to see more takes like this, subscribe to the channel.